Well, thank you, Reese. You are looking live at Camp Randall Stadium in Madison, Wisconsin for the marquee Big Ten matchup of the season. Tonight will be the first time Ohio State will have to deal with a truly intimidating environment. And Wisconsin looks to be tougher than any other opponent that the Buckeyes have faced all year. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Kirk Herbstreit. I'm Brent Musburger, so settle down. We'll watch the new #1, the Ohio State Buckeyes, and Terrell Pryor. He's really got the offense humming.
Well, I think the big key for Ohio State tonight on the road, as you said, is to turn Terrell Pryor loose. The last 3 times the Buckeyes have been on the road in Big Ten play, they've only averaged 17 pass attempts. They've been very conservative. Coach Tressel opting to rely on the defense and special teams. Tonight, does he have the confidence to turn Terrell Pryor loose after such a great game throwing the ball, a career-high 334 yards last week against Indiana, where he looked more in command?
And Herbie, do the Badgers have the weapons to trade punches for the Buckeyes tonight?
I think they do, Brent. I think most people think about Wisconsin, you think about a running game. But Scott Tolzien, their quarterback, shows that they have balance. They can throw the football. I think that's important to offset Ohio State's defense. And you look at the backs for Wisconsin this year. John Clay, last year's Big Ten Offensive Player of the Year, been a little bit dinged up, and the freshman has been sensational. James White out of South Florida, so far this year has been a great compliment because of his quickness to the more powerful John Clay. But I think the balance tonight will be very, very important for Wisconsin to have success.
Jim Tressel, lethal in big games in the conference. How about the night game for the Badgers?
Well, I think the fact that this game is in Madison at Camp Randall in front of this student section definitely gives the Badgers hope to be able to pull off the upset, because this crowd can affect the defense and also affect Ohio State's offense negatively as far as their communication up front and trying to make their calls.
Game faces are on, partner. The crowd ready to explode as the Badgers file out of that tunnel. The new #1, the Ohio State Buckeyes, determined to prove to one and all that that's where they belong. The kickoff is coming up next on ESPN. Welcome to ESPN College Football Primetime, presented by Hampton Hotels. The newly appointed #1 Buckeyes have embraced the hype of a realistic run to the title game, but against the #18 Badgers tonight in primetime, that title picture could be changing by the end of the night. Aaron Andrews is down below with Wisconsin coach Brent Bielema, so let's go to Aaron now.
Brent, thanks so much. Turnovers killed you against Ohio State last year. I know you've been harping on that all week long. What's key in taking care of the ball against this defense?
Well, good decision making. Ball security could be with the guy running with the ball and also the guy throwing the ball. So Scott's been aware of that, and we've been pretty good here as of late. We just got to carry forward what we've been doing.
Now talk about your defense. What aspect of Terrell Pryor's game have you asked them to maybe key in on tonight?
Well, last week was a little different game for him, so figure out what they're doing, be able to have the answers and get off the field on 3rd down.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.
All right, Brent.
Well, let's follow up on exactly what Aaron was asking about. If you go back to last year's game in Columbus, the Badgers dominated everything except the final score. But take a look at the bottom of that graphic. Special teams and defensive touchdowns. Ohio State with 3. 2 pick sixes and a kickoff return turned it around completely. And so here Jim Tressel We'll see his defense out early tonight as the Badgers won the toss and they will take the football to begin the game.
Interesting to see Wisconsin in front of this crowd. You think they might want to try to pin Ohio State back, get the defense out on the field, and try to affect Terrell Pryor and get the ball in the second half. But it maybe a little bit against the grain there to see Bret Bielema saying, let's take the football and attack this Ohio State defense.
So Drew Besa, the young distance kicker, if you will, for the Buckeyes, will put the ball on the tee, and we'll be underway. Brutus making the trip from Columbus. So settle in, everybody. It's going to be a noisy night in Madison, and it's a pleasure to have you along with us. It's been another wonderful Saturday in college football, and more ahead of us. Underway. David Gilreath from the 3. 25, 30, 35, explodes midfield. A chance to return the opening kickoff for 6. He'll take it to the house. 97 yards. David Gilreath, the senior from Minneapolis.
Bret Bielema, Brent, talked about how important it is for guys to make plays in this kind of game. And how about the very first play? Coach Bielema gets exactly what he wants from David Gilreath. Huge return.
Philip Welsh for the extra point. He was so quick that Ryan Wickesburg had to find his helmet to dash out on the field. He holds it, and it's 7-0.
Ohio State special teams have been an Achilles heel to the Buckeyes all year. Remember, Miami had Lamar Miller take one back for a touchdown in week 2, and this time Gilreath gets a few blocks, but guys out of their lanes, picks up and hits a seam, and then Ohio State not having the speed to be able to catch up to the very, very quick David Gilreath. But boy, what a way to set the tone for the Badgers with the opening kickoff at home. Great blocks up front, and Gilreath hit that seam, and he didn't slow down.
Herbie, just to follow up on what you were saying about the special team woes for Jim Tressel. A couple of field goals blocked. A punt has been blocked. Now 2 kickoff returns for a touchdown, not to mention a punt return. And they start out that way here in Madison.
Very uncharacteristic of Jim Tressel's teams we've talked about. Usually he goes on the road and he tries to make sure the special teams are buttoned up and the defense is ready to win the field position battle. And now the first play, Gilreath makes him pay and takes it all the way to the house.
He's a young man who suffered a concussion against San Jose State. Back on the field tonight for the Badgers, and he delivers on the opening kickoff. 97 yards. Now it's 12 seconds later. Welsh with the kickoff, and Berry coming out for the Buckeyes. On that far side, he's to the 29-yard line. And so, Herbie, here comes Terrell Pryor. You and I certainly watched the game in which he exploded on the national scene, beating Oregon in the Rose Bowl.
Yeah, I think that was his coming out party. And I think this year you're really seeing a more mature Terrell Pryor and a quarterback that's in more command of the offense, making good decisions, a threat to run and to throw. And as I said in the open, Brent, I think a big key is, does Ohio State come out with an aggressive approach with their play calling, or are they conservative? We'll have to see. It looks like the shotgun to start things out.
Boom Herron is the running back to his left, and Pryor is going to throw on first down, complete for a first down, and he hits DeVere Posey, the junior from Cincinnati, with Valai back, and he makes the stop. So offensively, as you might expect, a very solid Buckeye contingent in here, with Brandon Sane stepping out as a pass receiver. Herron is more of the inside runner, and there is one of the better offensive lines in the Midwest right there. It is now 1st and 10 after that pass And option look. Late pitch to Herron. Over his head. Ball free out of bounds. Buckeye football at the 30, but that's a loss.
Terrell Pryor and the option here. The ball is actually, he is stretched. And as a defensive end and outside linebacker, it's exactly what you want to do is make the quarterback get as close to the sideline. He runs out of room, decides to just kind of flip it, and it's high and it's got a lot of speed behind it. Tough for Boom Herron to be able to secure that football. And the Buckeyes fortunate that the ball went out of bounds.
Loss of 12 puts Ohio State in a 2nd and 22. Play action. Pryor dumps in underneath to the fullback, and that's Zach Boren makes his first catch, and Blake Sorensen the stop for the Badgers. Defensively, Wisconsin will line up this way and keep an eye on number 99, J.J. Watt. He's one of the better defensive ends in the Big Ten. A little short-handed at linebacker. Mike Taylor back from an injury from a year ago. He's just a sophomore. And in that secondary, Valai, I told you, is a key player, and the corners will have to hold up as Brandon Sane is on the field for his first play. Loves the wheel route. It's 3rd down and a bunch. That is Sane, number 3. Looks it for him and then goes downfield, goes up over the top. And was it intercepted? Incomplete, out of bounds. Intended for Sanzenbacher, but Aaron Henry, the safety, came over and grabbed the ball, but was out of bounds.
Boy, what a great effort, Brent, here on 3rd down. Ohio State giving Terrell Pryor enough time, but Aaron Henry, the former cornerback, goes airborne, and I know he's out of bounds, but it's a great effort. Good coverage, it's tight, and he just misses getting his right toe down for that interception.
And guess who's back? Mr. Gilreath. He will return this punt. Ben Buchanan. Gilreath going to take a crack at it. Out to the 35, shakes a tackle. Hasn't gone down yet tonight, but he is pushed out of bounds at the 41. Brandon Sane downfield on the coverage. The Badgers jump out ahead of the number 1 team by a touchdown. Well, the Badgers come in 5-1, and quarterback Scott Tolzien, only loss of the season up at East Lansing against Michigan State.
Tolzien, I think his efficiency very important for the Badgers, and I think tonight a couple times they're going to have to be able to throw on the early downs to get back to setting up their famous running game.
There's John Clay behind him, and Clay will come to the left. This was the play that the offensive coordinator told us he'd run because that's who we are. As we take a look at another outstanding offensive line. But of course, that's nothing new here in Madison. And you take a look at the young men who will operate behind it. Nick Toon with a turf toe, and he's a key wideout. Lance Kendricks is a wide receiver who is now a downfield threat as a tight end. And there is that front wall, and I mean, they are good. 2nd down and 6. Come right back with Clay into the middle. 1st down, as they gash the Buckeyes that time before Ross Homan makes the stop.
They have a jet sweep coming around just to freeze the linebackers just enough, and that's exactly what happened to Brian Roll. You see this all over the country. Sometimes quarterbacks will be handing it off on the jet sweep. Other times they fake it just to hold the backside linebacker. And John Clay, the coaches have been challenging him the last couple weeks. He's healthy now, and they want to see him start to run with some authority. So far, off to a good start in these first couple carries.
And as you know, Paul Chris loves that jet sweep. That's a big part of the offense here. They sit still this time, and he comes right back behind the road graders. Now, defensively for the Buckeyes, and arguably this is the best defense in the Big Ten this year. Cameron Hayward, 97. You might want to keep an eye on him, folks. He'll move around that defensive front. Brian Roll and Ross Homan are both tackling machines. In the secondary, Chekwa, all Big Ten performer on the corner. Devon Torrance also enjoying a good year. Hayward is down on 2nd and 5. Quick screen. 1st down, and Nick Toon makes the
First catch for him, and Jermail Hines with the tackle.
Nice job by Tolzien, and this is what you need to do just to keep the safeties and the defensive backs, the corners, respecting that you have this in your repertoire. It's not just about the running game with Wisconsin. Tolzien completing about 70% of his passes coming in. You touched on Nick Toon. You add in Gilreath. Lance Kendricks might be the best pass-catching tight end, not only in the Big Ten, one of the tops in the country. So they've got enough weapons on the outside to make defenses like Ohio State have to respect that element.
At the Buckeye 30-yard line. There's that look again, and Clay explodes across the 15-yard line. This young man wears number 32, and there's a penalty flag, and now 2. I want to quickly tell you why he wears 32. His father was a huge fan of Jimmy Brown, the Cleveland Brown Hall of Famer. And the young man learned at his father's knee what a great running back Brown is, and that's why he wears that number.
There are 2 fouls on the play. After the play, personal foul, number 34 on the offense. Personal foul, number 7 on the defense. Those fouls offset.
That was Ewing for the Badgers and Hines for the Buckeyes.
Great blocking up front, and you know, early in this game you're going to have some emotions flying. Ohio State a little bit frustrated. Ewing getting in there, and Hines, anytime you do that right in front of the official after the whistle, that's an obvious penalty. But how about Wisconsin's offensive line right now? The line you're talking about, controlling the line of scrimmage and giving John Clay plenty of room to operate.
Clay is still there in that deep set on 1st and 10 in the red zone. They come behind, touchdown. Badgers go up 2 scores on the #1 team in the country.
This offensive line continues to dominate, and he doesn't get touched. A couple Ohio State linebackers kind of whiffing, trying to get around the lineman. It's very tough as a linebacker. You start to try to get around a big offensive lineman, and they're just turning him away from the ball carrier, and it's very easy for John Clay, that time untouched all the way into the end zone.
Welsh tacks on the extra point. The Buckeyes have been stunned on the road in Madison. Built in 1951, the Babcock Hall Dairy Store serves as the oldest university dairy plant in the United States. Well, right after he scored that touchdown, look at former Heisman Trophy winner, that's Ron Dayne, coming up to congratulate Clay, who on that drive carried 5 times for 51 yards. The numbers carved into his head, those are the numbers of his offensive linemen. He had that done yesterday. Welsh with the kickoff. And Jordan Hall comes out for the Bucks to the 25-yard line. Herbie, let's take a look at our Chick-fil-A drive recap
well,
here.
Wisconsin's getting this game started exactly the way they want. They controlled things on 6 plays, 58 yards, 51 of them on the ground by John Clay. And it's because of Wisconsin's offensive line. Look at the blocking up front. Great scheme designed by Paul Chryst, the offensive coordinator. Ohio State denying some of the blocks to safety, slow to come up and fill. And right now, there's no question about it early in this game. The Badgers are taking it to Ohio State much more physical.
Both Herron and Sane. Pryor just keeps it all the way, and nobody lays a hand on him until he reaches the 47-yard line and is finally shoved out of bounds.
This is a very important drive for Terrell Pryor in Ohio State on the road, down by 14, hostile environment, some good blocking downfield. Seisenbacher trying to stay with the corner that time, does a good job, and this is what Pryor's going to have to do for Ohio State. Now, obviously, down by 14, not just his ability to throw the ball, but when he can scramble and create with his feet.
He picks up 22. Herron leaves. Sane is a running back next to him. There's that quick flash screen, and that is Seisenbacher, his first reception, as we go to Reese Davis for an update. Reese, did I hear you say 65 to 43? I might have to ask Reese what's happened to the defenses in the SEC. Oh my! Pryor back, fires, incomplete, intended for Posey. Great coverage by Fidelis. Fidelis was all over him that time.
Yes, sir, Brent. Fidelis, I think, doing a good job of anticipating the route. Terrell Pryor kind of telegraphing the ball. He breaks on the ball very, very quickly, but that's just knowing what to expect on second down and short to medium and being up close to the line of scrimmage and not giving too much of a cushion to DeVier Posey. Good coverage that time by Fidelis.
3rd and 7 for Pryor and the Bucks. He's going to take off and try to run for it. Bangs for it. When you see Terrell Pryor in person, you would think, if you didn't know, that he's a defensive end. He is that big.
He and Cam Newton, right? Kind of the new age of quarterbacks. Let's see how the linebackers clear out, Brent. I think Terrell Pryor recognized that right away and thought, I can get there with my speed. He kind of aborted the drop, aborted the routes, saw the linebackers clear out, and picked up the first down.
Plus the 45-yard line. Throwing on first down. Has good time for the offensive line. And then an errant throw. Incomplete. Posey was in the neighborhood.
Find out what kind of composure Terrell Pryor has, where he's on the road, he's down by 14, #1 ranking, all the hype, all the buildup for Jim Tressel and the Buckeyes. David Gilreath returns the opening kickoff. This stadium's ready to collapse. It's shaking. The next drive, they move right down the field. And let's see what Pryor has right now as he's down 14. See what kind of composure and poise he has.
They bunch receivers on the left. Steps in that direction, fires back in the middle, incomplete. And again, it was Posey. So far, you know, Herbie rushing the ball. It's been all Pryor here for the Bucks.
But watch Posey on the backside. He's got to be able to feel the linebackers and just kind of settle down. He did not give his quarterback any room to work with. If he would have settled down at about that the right hash mark, it would have given Terrell Pryor plenty of room to be able to throw to the backside. And there was a big window on the opposite, but he continued, and he almost put himself in coverage.
Pulls out on 3rd and 10. And a great grab just shy of a first down by Sanzenbacher. And they're going to give him a good spot on it, it looks like. As you see the ball being put down, if the yellow marker's right on the line, and let's change that to Stoneburner, who made this great catch off the injured list. So let me correct myself. And that ball's down the ground. Will that be ruled incomplete?
I think they'll take a look at that. I think the tip of the ball hit the surface. Pryor's trying to get to the line fast, but I think they'll probably stop this.
They did not. And here comes, no, hold it. There's a penalty flag. Let's see if the communicator was trying to get the attention of the officials. The line judge quickly threw that flag and stopped it.
Prior to the snap and prior to any foul that might have been committed, the previous play is under further review.
Yeah, Jim Augustine was getting the signal down to the field to Dan Capron's crew, and they got it down in time. And the Buckeyes, as Herbie told you, were quickly trying to get the next snap. There doesn't seem to be much question about this, as the ball right on the end of it comes up in his arms, and that will be ruled incomplete by Jim Augustine here upstairs, I believe.
Yeah, you're right, Brent, about great effort by Stoneburner to be able to reach out and be able to hold on to the football. But when you get a view, you get a second look at this, you can clearly see that the nose of the football, as he extended himself, he's reaching out, trying to hold on to it. But when the nose touches the ground like that, that's going to be an incompletion. Set up a 4th down.
And of course, now it becomes an issue. They'll take it back to the original line of scrimmage, so they'll bring it down to back to the down marker here, because it'll be ruled incomplete. So just to refresh your memory, sometimes I even forget that it's not coach's challenge with instant replay, but every play is being reviewed in the college game, and there's a communicator who signals them down on the field, and then they continue to look at it upstairs here. They make the decision and they pass it on along to the crew down below.
Stoneburner being back in the lineup, just to talk about him physically, he gives Ohio State a tight end who can actually get vertical. He's a wide receiver in high school, and you could see his hands there. Even though it's probably going to come back, you can see he's pretty athletic, pretty nimble. He's out with an ankle, so him getting back in the lineup, a big weapon for Terrell Pryor to try to use.
You know how well the Badgers have used tight ends through the years and have another great one? Well, guess who's here tonight being recruited by Wisconsin? One Nick O'Leary. Now, there are fans in Columbus who know immediately who I'm talking about. It's Jack Nicklaus's grandson, who plays for Dwyer High School down in South Florida, down in West Palm Beach. He and a couple of his teammates, including the quarterback who you saw in the Herb Street game in Cincinnati in that controversial game, another good player, being recruited by the Badgers.
You know, Brett Bielema does such a good job of recruiting in Florida. As an assistant coach and a coordinator when he was at Kansas State and Iowa and even Wisconsin, he did a good job.
Review, the receiver did not have firm control of the ball going to the ground. Therefore, by rule, the pass is incomplete. It will be 4th down and 10 at the 48-yard line. Please reset the game clock to 8:25.
That's the right call.
And that is the beauty of instant replay.
Yes, it is.
I know that sometimes the delays seem a little painful, and sometimes, to be perfectly honest, they do take too long to make the decision. But the key thing that you want, get it right.
The chains had already moved, and they had already signaled it for a first down. So now they're trying to figure out where the ball should be and making sure they get everything lined up properly.
I think they're going to bring back another 5 yards. Didn't the referee say yes? They're going to bring it back another 5 yards. He said the 48-yard line, which is what Jimmy Augustine told them upstairs. And so it'll be Buchanan punting and David Gilreath returning. And in case you were watching another game or just joining us now for a short time, Gilreath returned the opening kickoff 97 yards for a touchdown. He's going to make a fair catch on this punt at the 11-yard line. We'll take a break. The #1 team in the nation, the Ohio State Buckeyes, trails by 14. Sunday NFL Countdown, presented by IBM, is on ESPN tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern. Chris Berman and the gang will have updates from all the stadiums. They'll have a conversation with Ben Roethlisberger. He was interviewed by Merrill Hodge. And then I want to hear Mike Ditka's opinion on the Panic Bowl. Cowboys and the Vikings. Both teams under pressure not to go 1-4. That'll be some great conversation tomorrow at 11 o'clock. First down and 10 now for the Badgers. There is Big Clay. John Clay, 255-pound junior from Racine, slipping and sliding on that carry. Now, this is a note here, Herbie. As far as the Buckeyes are concerned, the last time they have given up 14 points in the first quarter, they lost that game.
And you know what else is interesting? They were ranked #1 in the country in that game when they lost to Illinois. So it's an interesting parallel. We'll keep an eye on things as it goes on, but still a long way to go in this football game, and Pryor has a chance to, I'm sure, get Ohio State back in it.
And they switch running backs, and James White, the freshman from St. Thomas Aquinas in Fort Lauderdale. Your first look at him here tonight for 8 yards. Chekwa makes the stop. There's a young man who's been a difference maker for the Badgers.
Great quickness, Brent, and the vision for a young back. See how the flow? The offensive line's getting a good push. This offense is designed more often really for James White on the cutback. Design cutback, the backside blocks do a good job of just trying to get Ohio State's defensive linemen on skates, pushing them from right to left. And White recognizes that. Little jump cut back to the right and picks up big yards.
Scott Tolzien with a 3rd and 2 for the offense. White stays on the field. He'll try to get the first down, and he does with a second effort. First down and 10. Up by 14. You can't be surprised at what Wisconsin is doing right now. Keep moving the chains and move the clock and keep pounding.
Amen. And you know, we had Stanford earlier this year in their 3 tight end sets and talked a lot about Jim Harbaugh, old school offense. Now, Wisconsin, to me, is a little bit different because they're going to get into their 3 tight end sets, but they are going to be physical. They're committed to running the ball, but they also can pull it out with the same personnel grouping and throw the football to a very talented group of tight ends.
They flash it to the outside to Nick Toon, his second reception. And he picks up 9 as we go to Reese Davis. Reese. And here Reese, Wisconsin has jumped out to a 2-touchdown advantage on the #1 team, Ohio State. White trying to work his way toward that first down marker. Nathan Williams, the junior, makes the stop for Jim Tressel's Buckeyes.
Wisconsin just, they're going to run the ball and they're going to keep you honest. They've thrown 2 passes tonight early in this game. Just a quick little pass, that quick pass to the outside of the receiver. Again, keep those defensive backs out there, keep them away from the running game, and then get back to running the ball. You feel like they're starting to squeeze down, fire another one out to the outside. And it's kind of just reading and reacting to what the Ohio State defense is doing.
Ewing in the game, and White is an excellent receiver also. This time they give it to him again, however, on the ground, and no more than a yard against that Buckeye defense. Homan makes the stop on White.
Ohio State's defensive line, which has been a strength for Ohio State for many years, really being challenged tonight. They're going to try to rotate as many bodies in as they can to try to keep the blockers off of players like Ross Homan and Brian Roll to allow them to be able to make plays. Instead of 8 or 9 yards downfield, they've got to try to penetrate and create some short yards or even negative plays.
Tolzien has completed both his passes here tonight. 2nd down and 9. He moves White over to the other side. He's looking to the right, fires high and complete. Dangerous throw, got away with it. Isaac Anderson, the senior from Minneapolis who attended Blake High School, picks up another first down.
And it's a good thing that Tolzien threw this on time, because Jermel Hines almost came up with a big play to get Ohio State back into this game. Hines jumps the route, but because Tolzien threw it on time and to the outside away from the defender, he was able to get away with it.
7 first downs for the Badgers already. And on first down, they pound ahead. And James White brought down by Cameron Hayward.
Pretty physical in the trenches. Hayward's in there battling, trying to make a play. That time, boy, he lowered the boom on the true freshman. Him and Hayward at about 290 pounds, the leader up front for the Buckeyes. That time fighting off of a double team and knocking James White down.
You can see the size, and Clay checks back in. The 255-pounder replaces. He gets the first call, middle, got another first down. So the little breather on the sideline, he comes back refreshed, and he bounces to the 40.
Keep an eye on 70, Kevin Zeitler, the guard. The right guard gets up to Ross Homan. He's been doing that the entire game. He's trying to hold on to his double team and respect that. And then once he feels that his partner is able to secure that first block, he's able to get up to the second level and lock into Ross Homan. And there's nobody left there to take on John Clay.
Clay with 65 yards, 80 total rushing already here for the Badgers. Coming back with number 32, and it is Clay to the 35, and Hines forced to come up and make that tackle. And Herbie, they are working their way with this offensive line through those defensive tackles. They're opening some big holes up.
16 plays, 13 runs, and controlling the line of scrimmage. And Ohio State on almost every snap has sometimes 8, sometimes 9 guys up close by the line of scrimmage in the box trying to stop this running game, and they still can't.
2nd and 5. Here comes Clay again, and that time Hines was coming from the backfield, and he was able to jam it up back there. So Jimmy Haycock brought a little outside pressure that time, and they were able to sort of jam up the point of attack for Clay, and he will take himself over to the sideline.
The answer to that, not necessarily here on 3rd down, Brent, but the answer if Ohio State starts to blitz the safeties to help out and run support is a little bit of play action. You fake the success of the running game and then hit Lance Kendricks behind those linebackers and behind the safeties for a big pass play.
Now White, good receiver we have pointed out, checks in on this 3rd down play. Tolzien looks the other way, and it'll depend on the spot. Chekwa does a fine job on Anderson that time. The point of the football may be touching the line.
Looks like they're not even going to bring out a measurement here, but Chekwa that time, great reaction to come up because it looked like Isaac Anderson, Brent, really had enough room to be able to make the catch and then get upfield for their first down.
Timeout has been called. It's possible that the spot is being reviewed on this play. Let's take a look at this with the line in it. Remember, that line is not official now. They'll spot the forward progress. Checkwell made a fine stop. This is why this young man will definitely be playing Sunday football.
Remember last year's game where Wisconsin controlled the football game for the most part, ended up having the 2 interceptions returned for touchdowns and a kickoff return for a touchdown, but they had the ball for 42 minutes. Now think about this. Now here we are in 2010. They're returning opening kickoff for a touchdown, and yet they still have, but they've had the ball for almost 10 minutes
after further
here in
review.
The first quarter.
The ruling on the field stands as called. 4th down.
This drive started back on the Badgers' 11-yard line, and right now the 13th play of the drive coming in. The Badgers with a 14-0 lead on the Buckeyes. Tolzien under center. Straight ahead. Peter Kahns is a sophomore from Neenah, Wisconsin, 6'5", 313 pounds. And the coaches here think he's going to become an outstanding center. He led the way that time for Tolzien.
Pretty nice as a quarterback when you have Kahns and company leading your way on a quarterback sneak. Probably the shortest gain that Wisconsin's had all day. But that offensive line doing a good job, got enough of a push there to easily allow their quarterback to pick up that first.
So the quarterback from Rolling Meadows, Illinois, 6'3" senior, back under center. Here's the handoff to the young running back, and that shows you why they are so fond of him. Holman makes the tackle on White, and the students hold up those sheets of white paper to honor their freshman. He has a little bit of a burst too. If he gets daylight, he can take it.
I think people assume because of Clay weighing in at 255 pounds and White at about 198 that he's the quick back and Clay is the power back. And maybe that's true to a certain extent, but as you just saw right there from James White, he's going to lower his shoulder and he's going to try to carry some defenders for yards.
Kendricks is the tight end on the right side of the formation. Now he flexes off. They come back with White, and not this time, as the Buckeyes were ready. Johnson, Orion Johnson, the sophomore from St. Petersburg, Florida, comes up to make the stop. The fans here appreciate the effort by the Badgers in the first quarter. Let me remind everybody that every Sunday from now on, you'll catch the BCS Countdown Show on ESPN for the unveiling of the new BCS rankings. So week 1 for the BCS rankings tomorrow night at 8:15. And that'll go 45 minutes and then switch over to the U at 9 Eastern for more talk about what's going on. And right now, there's a whole lot of folks interested in what's happening to Ohio State here in Madison. They trail the Badgers 14-0. We get started here with the second quarter, and White, the freshman running back, flares out. Tolzien on the move and wide open, and that's the young man who returned to kickoff. David Gilreath scored the game's first touchdown, but hang on, penalty flag coming back.
Brent, I think there's a late hit here on the quarterback by the defensive end.
Foul. Roughing the passer. Defense, number 43. The penalty will be assessed half the distance to the goal. First down.
2 things. Nathan Williams comes in late and hits Tolzien, but the other thing is Devon Torrance on 3rd down giving such a soft cushion to the receiver Gilreath. 3rd down, you've got to tighten things up on the outside. Once he made the catch, very, very easy for him. Look at the room that he has to work there to make Torrance miss him and then get upfield.
I know some of you disagree with that call, but remember, they are really protecting these young men more than ever this year in college and in the National Football League. John Clay in as the running back behind a fullback. First down and goal. Here comes Clay. Struggling to get back to the original line of scrimmage as we take a look back at how Specific is doing in the red zone. And it's brought to you by Verizon, and the Badgers have been very effective.
They sure have. And you know, last week, I know it's Minnesota, but it is a rivalry game. 6 times in the red zone, 6 touchdowns. So they come into this game with a lot of confidence and a lot of momentum off of last week's game. And the way John Clay is running, wouldn't be surprised to see maybe a little bootleg or play action pass.
And here's Clay. Stopped just short of the end zone. It'll be 3rd down and goal inside the 1-yard line. Probably you'd be tempted to come right back with the same play.
It's working. And I thought maybe Paul Chryst might try to catch. Look at Ohio State, 11 guys in tight. Where you fake that and you maybe try to slide a tight end behind that. It's probably an easy touchdown. But John Clay is so successful. This offensive line still getting such a big push. And that time, Hines showing his toughness at 215 pounds, meeting the big tailback there and holding him out of the end zone. Big 3rd down.
Over the top for Clay for his 2nd touchdown of the night. A shocker in Madison.
Good job here, 3rd down. Ohio State gets a little bit of a push, but a good decision, I think, there by John Clay to get airborne at 255 pounds. He gets up just enough, and nobody wants to meet him. That was very, very close there. Looks like his extension right there gets him into the end zone, but he landed very close to the goal line.
Welsh adds another extra point. They go 89 yards in 19 plays, and it's 21-0 Wisconsin. And the game summary is as lopsided as you might think, with the score 21-0. 2 Buckeye drives have resulted in 2 punts, and the Badgers electrified this sellout crowd by returning the opening kickoff 97 yards for a touchdown, and they haven't looked back yet. Now, Herbie, you made a real good point in that commercial that the Buckeyes need to get something on the board before the intermission.
Yeah, Wisconsin obviously took the ball to start the game, and they had a big kickoff return. I think for Ohio State on the road, Jim Tressel's probably just thinking, stop the bleeding, try to come up with anything, and remembering they get the ball to start the 2nd half, but they've got to get something going.
Welsh kicks it off, and it'll be fielded at the 7. Here's Berry. And Berry is out to the 32-yard line. As we take a look at this week's BCS standings along with the AP and the coaches poll, you can see that the Humans have the Buckeyes first, but you can see the projected BCS has Boise State #1 and the Buckeyes #5 based on strength of schedule. Now tomorrow we will get the first official standings, and there's a good chance that it'll still be Boise State and Oregon 1-2. Oregon idle this week, and Boise State playing San Jose State out west a little bit later tonight. So that's your all-state standings here with Dan Herron to the left of Terrell Pryor. He gets his first carry from scrimmage and no more than a yard. That's only the 12th offensive play. John Clay watching for the Badger bench. Buttram makes the stop for the Badgers.
You know, you and I did a game last week down in Miami, and we watched a game that we thought would be inspiring, in Florida State and Miami, and one team showed up and played inspired. One team was physical, and that was Florida State. Through about the first quarter and working now into the second quarter, right now Ohio State looks flat. Wisconsin looks more determined. They look hungrier. Both sides of the ball, they're winning the battle up front in the trenches. You wonder how things can begin to turn for Ohio State the way things look right now.
Pryor is looking to turn things. Going deep down that far sideline, got a man covered, and there was contact over there on the play. No flag. Corey Brown, the freshman from Pennsylvania, covered by Niles Brinkley, and I mean, Brinkley was on him like a glove.
He was, and Brown has great speed for a true freshman. He can get behind coverage in a hurry, but that is great coverage. Brinkley doing a good job. Finds the football. That's very key for a defensive back. Locates the football, and the receiver's eyes, Brown, signifying that he's looking for the ball. His hands go up. Brinkley finds it and makes the turn.
That'll save you an interference call.
Absolutely.
When you're looking at the ball.
Absolutely.
That official sees that you're playing the football and not the man.
You have a right to the ball.
Absolutely. It looks like we've got a stoppage here, a timeout. On this third down play, Ohio State and Trussell wanted to talk about it. They'll bring the offense over to Jim. You know, the Buckeyes have not given up 21 points and a half this season. The most, 17 in that game, that victory over Miami in Columbus. Uncharted territory for the #1 team in the nation. Timeout.
At Cheez-It, we expect a lot from our cheese.
What do you call a cheese that isn't yours?
I don't know.
Nacho cheese. See, because it's not your cheese, but I said nacho. La 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 la, can't hear you. La 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 la, can't hear you. La 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 la, can't hear you. That's when I decided to fully invest in my 401k.
We take the time for our cheese to mature before we bake it into every delicious cracker. Because at Cheez-It, real cheese matters.
I love Tabasco on my pizza because unlike some sauces that mask the flavor of food, Tabasco brings out the best in every bite. Like this one, for instance.
So much more than hot.
It's like a blast of hydration. The new Schick Hydro. Water-activated gel hydrates your skin as you shave, and Skin Guards reduce irritation. It's the best shave for your skin. Schick Hydro. Free your skin.
We are back now for 3rd and 9 for Terrell Pryor and the Bucks. He is 0 for his last 5, 3 of 9 overall. Flushed, eludes a tackle, reaching for the first down, and he's got it as he steps out of bounds.
3 receivers off to his left to the field. He has DeVier Posey off to the right, and I looked at that formation and I thought either DeVier Posey to the right's going to have to make a play, or Terrell Pryor's going to have to scramble. And this gives you an idea what he can do in the open field. Doesn't necessarily look like he's moving that fast, but at 6'6", he's with those long legs, he's covering a lot of ground. Obviously able to get away from the defensive line, but even the linebackers and safeties in space have a tough time bringing him down.
Sane steps out of the backfield. Pryor going to try to set the screen with Heron the other way. Crosses midfield to the 45-yard line, and Cahoot, big defensive lineman, back there making the stop, number 91.
Jim Trussell trying to slow down this aggressive Wisconsin defense. They're feeding off of this lead in the crowd and the energy of the stadium. And I think on a first down call, smart call by Jim Trussell there, trying to go back to the backside screen, trying to get that Wisconsin defense flowing to the field to follow Terrell Pryor.
With Kirk Herbstreit and Aaron Andrews, I'm Brent Musburger. We welcome you to Saturday Night Football on ESPN. The #1 team in the nation, down 3 touchdowns. And here is Heron picking up a first down for the Buckeyes. We're putting together the most impressive drive of the night. Claxton, a backup linebacker, makes the stop. But the Buckeyes for the first time tonight, and it was a big 3rd and 9 they converted, but they are starting to move the ball a little bit.
You and I also talked at the break about Ohio State being down, all the pressure being #1. The importance of having a head coach like Jim Trussell who calls the plays, not to abort the game plan, try to kind of stick to your guns. It hasn't gone well, and just try to work yourself slowly and methodically back into the game. But this drive is big for Ohio State, obviously.
The read option. Pryor takes it, trying to get the corner, and he is tripped up. And that was Finellis, who's made a couple of fine plays. The corners for the Badgers have made strong plays here in the first half.
That is a great play by Finellis. This is not an easy thing to do. Watt, who's got good speed as a defensive end, almost chases down Pryor, makes him go to the outside. But you're right, Brent, the corners from Wisconsin, they're not going to go to Indianapolis at the combine and blow you away. But in this system, they're just physical, they're tough, they're gritty, they're willing to do a lot of the dirty work to allow the Badgers to get the rest of their defense in position to make plays.
2nd down and 5. And a big hole for a first down. Heron into the red zone. Brought down by Valai.
Oh, they decided this time, Wisconsin decided to bring a blitz, and they actually put themselves right out of position by blitzing. They took a chance, rolled the dice a bit on first down. You could see Claxton on one side coming through, St. Jean, the middle linebacker, coming through. And when they didn't make the play at the line of scrimmage, there's nobody left there, and that's big yards for Boom Herron.
Herron, the junior from Warren, Ohio, gets the handoff again and tries to break the daylight in the end zone, just short of it. Down to the 2-yard line, and Finellis again. But now the Bucks are knocking on the door here in Madison for the first time tonight.
And really the first time all year that Ohio State's offensive line has had a drive where they've kind of taken the fight to a good defense like this, and they're now kind of taking a page from Wisconsin's playbook, saying, hey, we're going to try to get physical with you as well and try to get Boom Herron to the second level without being touched.
Here's Pryor running all the way, cut back and stop. St. Jean, the linebacker, up for the stop.
Anytime you put the ball in the hands of Terrell Pryor, especially down inside the 5-yard line, it's always a threat to a defense. St. Jean that time in perfect position, but you like to see the ball on the right hash. Give Terrell Pryor that ability to get out on the edge, out on the perimeter of the defense with the chance to either throw the football or, if it's covered, take off and run and head to the corner.
Second down and goal for Pryor.
Pryor now motioning out.
He motions out. It's the Wildcat. It's Herron back there with a fullback. He'll run it to the left side, and he is stopped. Picked up about a yard. It'll bring up third and goal. Trussell trying to get his running back to the point of attack a little bit quicker on that direct snap, which is why you see so many teams using the pistol. The Buckeyes have used their version of it a couple of times in this drive, where you line the quarterback up only 4 yards behind the center and the tailback right directly behind him. Now they split him off to the side on third down and goal for Ohio State. Pryor, and he won't make it. And suddenly it is fourth and goal. Sorensen, St. Jean make the stop. Trussell electing to keep it on the ground that time rather than putting it in the air.
Yeah, as a quarterback, when you run the option, when you take the football, you have to have a mindset that you're going to keep the football and you're going to take it to the end zone until they take you away. Now, granted, there's 2 defenders there, but you'd have to have an aggressive mindset and attack the defense, force them to take you away, and then try to pitch it out to your tailback. He was very tentative there on third down.
27-year-old Devin Barkley to attempt this field goal. And the one-time MLS soccer player puts the #1 team in the nation on the scoreboard, but they still trail it 21-3. Basketball team, their first workout of the year. They return to historic Wisconsin Fieldhouse for the first time since '98. And there was Michael Finley out on the floor. Well, I have a moment. I want to pass along condolences to the Ohio State family and the family of Larry Siegfried, who passed away after suffering a heart attack. He was a member of one of the best college basketball teams ever. Jerry Lucas, John Havlicek, Bob Knight, Mel Knoll, Joe Roberts, and Larry Siegfried, who is no longer with us here tonight as the Buckeyes defend that kickoff. And it's time now for the Aflac trivia question. And Herbie, who are the 3 quarterbacks, and they're all big names, besides Terrell Pryor, since '98 now, to return to school after being named the Rose Bowl MVP? I'm going to give you a hint.
I got 2.
A couple of them won national championships.
Okay. Okay.
We'll give you that. I mean, it's big names.
Boy, that's a big hint.
Yeah. Well, I'm feeling good.
I got you last week.
I know. You've been excellent all year, I might add.
I'm doing okay.
Okay. First down and 10 now for Scott Tolzien and the Badgers, who lead at 21-3. Going deep. Got a man. Incomplete. So Kyle Jefferson, a senior, number 3, and Torrance is the defender.
Brad, I think they're trying to catch Ohio State napping. You could see the slot receiver this time, too, and a little out. and a little up. He actually had Hines in one-on-one coverage, but the timing wasn't there. Remember, this is a team that's been running and running and running. At that time, they got a matchup with one of their better receivers, isolated against Jermel Hines, who doesn't play great man-to-man coverage. They had him beat on an out-and-up. They just weren't able to execute.
That's Tolzien's first incompletion. And they come battering back with big John Clay from Racine, Wisconsin. And he picks up the first down. With Ron Dayne here tonight, he reminds you a little bit of Ron, the way he's been running.
And again, he had surgery, 2 surgeries in the offseason for his ankles. He's been a little bit tentative coming back this year. Last week was a little bit of a glimpse of how he was coming back. Went over 100 yards last week against Minnesota, but the coaches said he's had a great week of practice. And because James White has been stealing so many of the headlines, people have kind of forgotten a bit about John Clay.
White replaces Clay. There's that flash screen now to the outside, and Tune, he picks up another first down. And let's go to Reese Davis for an update. Reese? If that holds up, Herbie, did you tell me that would be 3 straight losses for the Gators?
Yeah, that's not good.
There's White crushing across the line of scrimmage, picking up a couple. Let's check in down below with Aaron, and there is a penalty flag, but let's go to Aaron anyway.
Brendan, just want to give you an update while we wait on word about this penalty here. Ohio State's defense, after John Clay ran in his second touchdown, defense came over to the sideline, throwing things, throwing cups, their helmets. The Buckeyes coaches came in very quickly to kind of cool them down, give them a talking to. So it'll be interesting to see how they react here on this drive. Heads up, too, guys. Ross.
10-yard penalty, first down.
One more thing, Brent. Ross Homan, linebacker for Ohio State. He actually had his shoe off with an ankle injury, so we've got to keep an eye on him tonight.
Wow. Yeah, he's a very good linebacker. They can ill afford to lose him in a fist fight like this, which is what they're going to have the rest of the way with Wisconsin's offensive line and those running backs.
And John Newsome now comes in, and they'll move Andrew Sweat over to that linebacker position that Ross Homan was playing. But interesting report from Aaron. This defense for Ohio State has 7 senior starters. It's a veteran group. Now, this is uncharted waters to be on the road down like this, but they've been around and played a lot of football.
So it is 1st and 20 for Tolzien, and the penalty, after the penalty, I should say, on Tune. Tolzien straight back, takes off. Not going to hurt you, but he wasn't going to gamble on an interception at this point of the game. Williams brings him down. You could see how he was securing the ball.
First time that Ohio State's been able to get pressure on Tolzien, and he actually, instead of just firing it out quickly, he actually gets back into the pocket. And I think it really started with Cameron Hayward just pushing John Moffitt back into the pocket, and it forced Tolzien to bail and get out of there, and then eventually Nathan Williams brought him down.
Inside of 5 minutes, first half. Badgers lead the Buckeyes 21-3. They return the opening kickoff for a touchdown. Tolzien, the senior, now with a quick changeup at the line on 2nd and 15.
Keep it up.
Has plenty of time and throws an interception picked up by Sweat. And he has given the Buckeyes a chance at the 40-yard line.
I think a late flag came in there as well, Brent. I wonder if it's a late hit over there.
Bit of a scrum over there on the far side. You can see the coaches immediately stepping in.
Aaron just talked about Ross Homan being out of the game, and Sweat has moved positions. John Newsome is in there, and Sweat moving to a new position, steps up and makes a huge play for Ohio State.
Personal foul, late hit. Wisconsin, number 84, 15-yard penalty, first down Ohio State.
That's their tight end, Kendricks, guilty of this.
Sweat is off to the left, just barely. You could barely see him. Speaking of barely seeing him, I don't know, Scott Tolzien, I don't think saw him at all. He threw that right into the chest of Sweat, who makes a huge play. And, Sweat hasn't played a lot of football this year, Brent. The main reason, they've been playing so much nickel. So tonight he's been asked to play a lot more.
Whoa, I joined the crowd. I didn't see that personal foul either. Regardless, Sanzenbacher coming around the left side. Looked to me like the tight end was going to the ground and rolled into somebody on that replay. That was a very tough call against the Badgers. Regardless, here we go. Second down.
Looked like he kind of got blocked and his momentum rolled him out of bounds.
Take another look at the end of this now. Remember, it's on 84. He's been blocked down on the ground. Rolls in. Bad call. The official didn't see how it began, that he was stumbling and falling to the ground. But regardless, second down and 9 now for Ohio State. Pryor, middle, incomplete. Posey, number 8, that's his preferred target. Sanzenbacher. They're the 2 wide receivers that he likes to go to in these situations. Third down here, Herbie.
Brent, I think he may have locked in that time to DeVere Posey, because look at 12, Sanzenbacher working behind the linebacker. See how he breaks free? Would have been a tight window, but a much easier throw than throwing it underneath there to DeVere Posey.
Must reach the 13-yard line. And timeout has been called. And it's the Badgers who will use up timeout.
Wisconsin.
So let's go to that Aflac, Herbie. I remember I asked you about the quarterbacks.
You really threw me for a curveball when you mentioned national championship. Joe Germain, I'm gonna guess.
No.
Joe Germain.
I think it was the year before.
Okay.
Okay. Since '98, there are the 3 now: Kenny Dorsey, Matt Leinart, and Vince Young. Okay. Now Leinart and Young, remember, they go on to win BCS national championships after they won the Rose Bowl. Thought it was sort of interesting, because of Terrell Pryor coming in here, but right now
he's not worried about that, is he?
No. You know, I dare say, for folks who are watching college football and evaluating players, Herbie, it's my opinion right now, for the rest of the way, this is the most important game on national television that Terrell Pryor has found himself in. They want to see what he does when he's behind.
I think you're right. And I think not only that, but I think they want to see how he handles the #1 team, the pressure to succeed. And now being behind, the stakes get even higher. You're 100% right.
Here comes third down and 9 for Terrell now, and he's sacked. Sacked back at the 29-yard line. That was J.J. Watt, and what a story this young man is. Once a tight end over at Central Michigan, transferred back, walked on, and here he is.
And the right tackle, J.B. Shugarts, just whiffed on third down and long. Shugarts just misses Watt. You got to expect an outside move. Shugarts is surprised, and the quickness for the size of J.J. Watt at 295 pounds, he went right around him.
So here comes the Barkley field goal attempt, a 45-yarder. No good. The Badgers have returned a kickoff for a touchdown. Now they survive a field goal as he slides it to the left. It is still all Wisconsin. Let me follow up on J.J. Watt's amazing journey. Gave up that scholarship at Central Michigan, had to pay his own way, and his parents ponied up $20,000, delivered pizza, and finally earned a scholarship. He wants to play someday in the National Football League and buy his parents a home. He's just one of the finest young men that you will ever want to meet in college football. You pull so hard for the J.J. Watts of the world, and now White, the running back, pounds straight ahead. And here come the Badgers again with Brian Roll making the stop.
You couldn't say it enough about J.J. Watt, and the story is amazing. You're right. And to see the passion that he plays with, how much the game means to him. And on that third down, you could just see the energy kind of coming out of his body as he was able to get by the Ohio State offensive tackle and just went right by him on third down.
You know who I was thinking of when he did that? Jared Allen.
Yeah, good call. Same passion.
Second down and 3. Tolzien fakes the screen, and White picks up the first down, and that clock continues to move.
That missed field goal was so big for Wisconsin, and it hurt Ohio State so much. They got the big interception. Remember the late hit that was a little controversial, gave them 15 more yards, good field position, kind of what Jim Tressel wanted to see, maybe to get it at 21-10. With the ball to start the second half, Wisconsin forces the field goal. They miss it. Now the Badgers are back out here on the field, still trying to look for points, and at the very least, work this clock down.
And the clock continues to tick. White with a crease on that right side. Stop made by Roll again.
Ohio State's rushing defense being challenged in a big way. Obviously, the talent and the offensive line that they're facing, the best that they've seen. But coming in, they'd only allowed 78 yards a game on the ground. And already, not even the halftime, over 100 yards rushing. This is a team that's gone 29 straight games without allowing a 100-yard rusher. That also has almost been reached by Clay with 88 yards in the first half.
And here comes that jet in the round, and it's Gilreath. And Gilreath is pushed out of bounds. There is a penalty flag back on the 45. Chekwa gets the runner out of bounds.
Holding. Offense, number 84. 10-yard penalty, second down.
That's Kendricks.
He locked into John Newsom, who has stepped in for Ross Holman. 84, who's become really a physical blocker. That time he just got locked up with Newsom. But Lance Kendricks, a wide receiver who moved to tight end, is kind of their H-back here. He's had a couple penalties not go his way here, but he is a fine-looking tight end, and with a line of tight ends that they've had here. Owen Daniels in the NFL, Garrett Graham last year, Travis Beckham. I mean, if you play tight end at Wisconsin, chances are you're going to the NFL.
Brett Bielema will try to run the clock out here in the first half. Second down and 15. Drops off basically a high percentage screen pass to White, and let's check in with Reese Davis. Reese, and here surprisingly Tressel too going to let the clock run down. Did not use up a timeout as White is wrestled to the ground with 22 seconds. The Buckeyes still had 2 left, so obviously Tressel and the Buckeyes want to regroup just as well.
Yeah, I think it looks like maybe they're trying to stop it here, but I was surprised there. There were, I don't know, 45 to 50 seconds, 2 timeouts left, 3rd and 15. Wisconsin's just trying to work the clock down. Use your 2 timeouts on 3rd and 4th down, and who knows, maybe give Terrell Pryor a chance to move the ball down the field and get in field goal range.
Well, we want to remind everybody about Monday night. Now you'll get to see Chris Johnson. He'll be running for the Tennessee Titans. Maurice Jones-Drew running for Jacksonville. There's a young man I want to tell you about playing for Tennessee. His name is Mark Mariani. He's out of Havre, Montana. He walked on at the University of Montana for 2 years without a scholarship. Last week, he beat the Dallas Cowboys with a 73-yard kickoff return. 2 weeks before that, he went 98 yards with a touchdown kickoff return against Denver. Coach Jeff Fisher watching his son play for the Grizz, and he picked up a number 7 draft choice.
Wow.
And everybody thought it was just because he was a buddy of his son.
How about that?
The young man can flat play.
I'm glad you pointed
You
that
ever been
out.
to Havre? No, you've never been to Havre.
No.
Havre's very close to the Canadian border, up on that high line.
8-man
One of those
football?
small towns up there, a little 8-man football. And here comes Brad Nortman back to punt it. Nobody back, deep. Bucks all up front.
Now Bielema's calling a timeout.
Timeout, Wisconsin. 30-second timeout.
You read that promo with such energy, and I thought, man, there's a young man you need to. I think Chris Johnson and Vince Young.
They get all the pub.
Who do you got for me? I figured.
When do I ever get a chance to talk about a 7th-round draft choice?
Had to circle back to Montana somehow, right?
You bet. He had a wonderful career out there as a wide receiver. And you know, when you look around the league, every now and again you'll see one of those FCS players. They turn in a standout performance. I mean, they're sprinkled all around the National Football League. So, you know, people say, oh, they got beat, you know, when Virginia Tech went down. I will flat guarantee you there's 2 or 3 players on James Madison that are going to get a look by the NFL.
Absolutely. The talent definitely filters down. And right now, Jim Tressel's trying to think about what he can do to try his days at Youngstown State winning championships. What can he do here to try to get his team to find a couple playmakers to help him out here? Nobody back again, Brent.
into the end zone with 6 seconds.
Top 2 of the AP to Harrison, a coach's poll.
That's what's interesting.
If Ohio State loses.
That's exactly right, Herbie. We still got a half of football to go. Come on back. See if Jim Tressel can bring the Buckeyes back. John Clay with a huge first half, 88 yards and 2 touchdowns. Let's check in with Aaron Andrews.
Coach, you told me before the game we have to avoid distractions. What will your message be here at halftime to settle them down?
Well, we get to start the half with the ball. Obviously, we didn't start the game well, letting a kickoff go out in someone's home. But our guys will keep fighting. You know, obviously, they've run the ball well. We've got to find an answer to that. But, you know, there's 30 minutes. We have a chance.
What is your #1 adjustment in slowing down John Clay?
Well, you know, I'm sure we've got to tackle better and all the basic things. I don't think it's anything outlandish. We just got to execute. We talked before. Execution's the key.
Thanks for your time, Brent.
Thanks, Aaron. 138 rushing yards for the Badgers. And now we go to Reese Davis, Mark May,